The Predator is the 2018 sequel to Predator and Predators 2, and it's directed by Shane Black and stars Boyd Holbrook, Olivia Munn and Jacob Tremblay. So we have yet another semi-reboot of the Predator franchise. We had the Alien vs Predator movies back in the mid-noughties, and we also had Predators with Adrian Brody a few years ago. So this is the latest attempt, but this time it was a bigger deal because we had Shane Black on board. He was one of the original cast members from the original Predator movie. And we also have Jake Busey, whose dad also was obviously in Predator 2, Gary Busey. So we've got some originality with the characters, and we do have, like I said, Shane Black on board. And with Shane Black we normally have Fred Dekker, so what we like to call him is Black and Decker. Now, I wasn't excited to see this movie because it's a Predator movie. I'll be honest with you, the Predator franchise was never a favourite of mine, neither was the Alien franchise, so me getting into this movie, I was looking forward to seeing it. I did hear bad things about it, that a lot of Predator fans didn't like about it, but I was getting into this thinking those things that they didn't like about it might not affect me in any way at all, because I wasn't looking for the things that they were looking for. It's like me getting into a Halloween movie, the new Halloween movie. Maybe I wouldn't like things about Michael Myers or Laurie Strode that other fans wouldn't care about. It's the same with me getting into this movie. The height of a Predator, the way a Predator walks or talks, the technology that they use doesn't bother me. So if they do change things for this movie for the worse, I wouldn't even recognise that, so it wouldn't bother me at all. What I'm looking for in the movie is if it's a good story, good actors, good character development and good cinematography. Things like that bother me more about this movie than maybe the history of the Predator Alien. Now, most of you will know that I'm a big fan of the Monster Squad. Fred Dekker directed the Monster Squad and Shane Black wrote the Monster Squad with Fred Dekker. With the Predator, it was flipped around. We've got Shane Black directing it and Fred Dekker co-writing it with Shane Black. So that immediately caught my attention, because when I first seen the trailer for this movie, it felt like the Monster Squad with adults in it. So that's what I was looking forward to seeing most about this movie. And I think that for the most part of this movie, it did feel like the Monster Squad. There was a couple of Monster Squad references. Jacob Tremblay's character was going out trick-or-treating for Halloween and his mum showed him a Frankenstein mask. That's a kind of nod, a little nod to the Monster Squad. And the film itself is like an adult version of the Monster Squad, only this time it's a band of misfits, soldiers who are out hunting a predator. So they're hunting a monster basically, and it's no different to what happened in the Monster Squad. A band of misfits, and this occasion is kids, going out looking for monsters. So to me it's the exact same thing, but with the Predator involved. And maybe that's why a lot of people didn't like it, because it was more of a fun action movie than that kind of horror sci-fi gritty guerrilla warfare movie that we had for the first movie, and kind of like the second movie as well. Now for me, straight from the off, this had a lot of action and it kept me on the edge of my seat for most of the movie. No, we didn't see a lot of the Predator, we didn't see a lot of the Ultimate Predator in the movie, but it was more about that character development. Some of the one-liners were a bit annoying and a bit repetitive, like Thomas Jane's character, for example. Some of the things that they've done in the movie kind of annoyed me, but we get to see their character development. Each one of them had some sort of characteristic that we liked about them, and we also hated about them as well. And that's what I liked about this movie most, is the characters. We got to know every character, and whether we cared for the character or not, we were interested and invested in seeing what happened to them in the movie. So if we had a character that we hated, we wanted them to die. If we had a character that we liked, we got behind that character. So I think that's what Shane Black did really well, and that's what Fred Dekker does well with his characters as well when he writes the story. We get invested in the characters for this movie and the other movies that they've done together. Now, Shane Black is a good director. I think he's really good. I love Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I really liked Iron Man 3 and I loved The Nice Guys. So again, I was looking forward to seeing his directing for a Predator movie, because he knows what the Predator's all about. He starred in a Predator movie, so taking on the Predator character, it should have been easier for him than other directors in the past. No, I don't think this movie was amazing. I don't think it was great, but I think it was a good movie. Overall, I was getting thinking this is going to be a really bad movie because of the reviews that I read, but I was overwhelmed by how good it actually was. The two standouts for me in this film were Olivia Munn and Boyd Holbrook. I love Boyd Holbrook in Logan, and I watched him in 2 seasons of Narcos as well. Again, he brings a good charisma to this role. No, he wasn't like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he wasn't like Adrian Brody, he was his own character in this film. He wasn't trying to be any of those characters. Some of the characters in this film seemed like they were trying to mimic other characters in the Predator franchise, but Boyd Holbrook and Olivia Munn were their own characters, and not one point during this movie did I feel like it was boring. I think a lot of things were happening. There were a few times where they just sat and spoke for a couple of minutes, but that was just to kind of find out what they were going to do next. But every time they went out and done something, there was some sort of an attack, whether it be human on human or Predator on human. We do see, again, I don't know much about the Predator franchise, but we see the Ultimate Predator. I'm guessing that's for the first time, because I didn't see him in any of the other movies. And then we see the Predator dogs. I think a lot of people had issues with the CGI with the dogs. Yes, I think the CGI, for the most part, was off-putting, especially with the CGI Predator dogs. But when you see the up-close shots of the Ultimate Predator, even though you know it's CGI, it's still really good CGI. And it was quite scary for the most part, especially when he was hunting the crew in the jungle. He gave them a 7-minute head start or whatever it was, and he was hunting them in the jungle. So yeah, it was quite scary at points, but it wasn't a scary movie. It wasn't like Predator. Like I said, it was like a kind of action adventure movie, and I think that's what most people had a problem with. The genre that it set itself in, it was more of an action comedy adventure, and that's what Shane Black is. He's an action comedy adventure director. The Nice Guys, again, The Nice Guys, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, they don't really have that set genre. They've got different subgenres within them, kind of noir style, action comedy, spy, espionage, and that's what the Predator is. It doesn't set itself in an action genre, it doesn't set itself in sci-fi. It's got all those little subgenres that I like about the film, but I can see why fans of the Predator franchise don't like that. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's a thought-provoking movie and it's an inspiring movie. It was an action movie for me that was good to look at. The storyline was minimalistic, but it kept you watching it and wanting to see more, and that's what I liked about it. I think there wasn't a dull moment in the movie for me, and that's what I wanted to see. So that's my review of The Predator, guys. Like I said, it's not a bad movie. I think it's overall a good movie. I think it was better than the Alien vs Predator movies, and I did like it better than the Adrian Brody Predator movie. It's not as good as Predator 1 and 2, but I think it's better than the rest of them. So if you're a fan of the Predator franchise, you might not agree with me, but if you're just a fan of these kind of movies, then go and see it. I think you have a good time. Anyway guys, thanks a lot for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.